All right, everyone, we're here for episode 73 of Stub Luv Live with Ben Oliver. Man, we got some great topics today. Can't wait for this one. Let's run. All right, here we are, Ben. How you doing, man?
Yeah, good, man. It's like 3:15 in the afternoon here. Sun's out. You've got to take these days while you can. Yeah.
Sun's out, guns out. We're going. So, this is kind of the first matinee, I guess, the early show, because it's 10 o'clock here. But
Right.
I know you have a family and a young child, so too hard for you to get on real late. Couple of times that we've had some folks across the pond, they got special permission to be up late. So, but this is great. I went to the gym this morning, came to my office. Man, I'm ready to talk tickets. And
let's do it.
Let's do it. So I have to tell you, I've watched you on the episodes with Taylor, and I got to tell you, Ben, I just loved your personality. I loved your attitude. You have a very positive vibe. Tell everyone who's over here in the States what kind of tickets you collect.
Oh, so a wide variety, really. I would say it was mainly soccer. A lot of music recently. Has been over the past year or so. Wrestling. Do you know what it is? I collect anything that pops up and looks interesting. And I'm at the stage now where it has to excite us when I see it. If I feel that excitement when I see it, I think, oh yes, I must want that. I don't think too much about a category now. I really don't think that much now. I've got a lot of tickets that I set out to get at the start, and now it's more like when something pops up that I didn't even realize existed, that's exciting, then I'll go for it.
Yeah, that's great. You're over there in England, and I guess the question is, a lot of people want to know, how do you guys find tickets? Like, how are you guys locating tickets to add to your collections? So I know you have this phenomenal ticket Discord. I go on it like in the shadows, and I just monitor what people put up, and I think it's cool. I don't think I've ever posted on it. There's eBay, and then, there's some auction houses. You even have some local, English auction houses. But where do you find that you guys are actually acquiring your tickets from?
I can only speak for me personally. It's a lot of private sales through relationships built up in the Discord. A lot of that recently has been that. At the beginning for me, it was all over the place. It was eBay, it was Instagram, it was Sale Room, I think it is. It was Todo Colección. I don't know if you've heard of that, the Spanish. It's like a Spanish eBay. It's similar to that. And Facebook groups, obviously we've got buggers, but we've got some European Facebook groups for soccer and things like that. So it was, when I started, it was all of those things. But now, Pick Click, is it Pick Click?
Yep.
Yeah. It was all of those things when I started, and I was checking them constantly throughout the day. It was getting quite obsessive, Howard. And then obviously priorities change. I've got a busier job now. I'd say I've got a child, a family. I go to the gym as well. So it doesn't take the priority that it did before. So for me now, it's like private sales through probably Discord and some people that I know through that, and just eBay. I don't check anything else now. Yeah. Because it can just take up so much time.
Yeah. So it's funny, I'm a lawyer, and I think lawyers will say this, and it's really any business, but referrals are always your best sources. They always bring you the best cases for us, or maybe the best client or best customer. And I think you're right. I think with tickets, if you know someone and they have something that you need, it's ultimately going to wind up being probably, I would say, the best opportunity to capitalize on putting that into your collection. So I kind of agree with you. Tell me a little bit. It's funny, you have a good heritage story, and I want you to tell me about that heritage story, because we forget about the time change for auctions if being offered in the United States, and you guys are what, like 6 hours difference, correct?
I think it's 5, 6. Yeah, it depends on whereabouts in America you are. Yeah, could be.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. So tell me about your heritage experience.
Well, for anyone who's watched my Tickets with Tay shows, I think there's 3 of them. I had some Eminem tickets, and it's the only time I bought off an auction site. It's the only time I've done that. Like Heritage or Golden, that is the only time I've done it. And I downloaded Heritage and see what this is all about. And I thought, what do I really want to look for? So I just typed in Eminem, and it came up with the tickets that in my head I wanted to see. Like, what are the odds of that, by the way? But the auction was for a few months in advance. So I had it in my head all that time. This auction's coming up. And I had to register, ring Dallas up and register, all this sort of stuff. But then the auction, it drew nearer, and it said it was lot, say 416, for example, right? So it's not at the beginning of the auction. So I worked it out time-wise. It would be like 2 a.m. our time. And I had to set my alarm through the night, get up, sit in the dark with a laptop, and just wait for this thing to come, wait for the tickets to come round. I was thinking, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this? Obviously, I've got a wife as well. She's like, what are you doing? And they don't really understand like that, do they? But anyway, ultimately, I got them, and I've just never seen them since. But what are the odds that I would download the app, type in what I wanted, and it was there coming up?
Yeah, it's great.
That'll probably just never happen again. And I never really check. I never check Heritage or Golden, so I wouldn't. It was just it comes down to time, doesn't it? This is such a big part of the hobby, is timing.
It really is. It really is. So that was a live Heritage auction. Yeah, I know that they do some of their concert tickets when they have, specific first shows or last shows. It's in their maybe music memorabilia auctions, and a lot of times those are live auctions. Yeah. So
it was a hip hop auction, and I've never seen another hip hop auction on there since. Never.
Yeah. You may be right. We talked a little bit before the show. I always like to do a little bit of, research, and I like to talk to the guests, learn about what, you guys are interested in and what you collect. And it's kind of one of those things where, Tom Daly's watching. He says the stars align. It's what I wrote here down that we talked about. The stars kind of must align in order to buy a grail. And, it's kind of one of those things where you searched the first time on Heritage, you kind of almost willed those Eminem tickets to you. You got up at 2:00 in the morning, you watched the live auction, and ultimately, you went ahead and acquired those tickets. But I kind of feel the same way. It's you almost have to be put in that exact right position. And you and I were talking about it, Ben. My experience recently at the National, I walked around that National for 3 days. I looked at everyone's table that had tickets. I spent time with everyone, and I went through it 2-3 times. And, like on the 3rd round, I get to someone's table and they had a ticket there that I hadn't seen all the other times before. And it's like someone almost willed me or wanted me to see it on that 3rd round, because I wound up buying the ticket. And I actually said to the guy, I'm like, I've come by your table 2-3 times already. I'm like, did you have this when I came by, or is this a new pickup, or did you just put it out? He goes, No, it's been sitting there the whole time. So,
Yeah.
it's
Was it
crazy.
labeled? Was it a labeled PSA one, or was it a
Yeah,
raw ticket?
it was
Yeah.
labeled, and maybe something was covering it. I don't know.
Mm.
Maybe I was just too impatient.
Mm.
I'm real excited when I go to the National, man. It's
It
crazy there.
looks
It's a great
awesome, man.
experience. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I kind of feel like the stars have to align, and even with your Eminem experience, or experiences that you and I have both had on eBay, it's like, we logged in right in the right time,
Yeah.
to find that ticket before someone else gets to it.
Yeah, it's timing. I mean, I'll tell you that when I spoke to you before, the Hulk Hogan final match ticket. Well,
Yeah.
I've got that. Yeah, I'll show you. I'll show you this. So this is Hulk Hogan's last ever match. Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Yep.
And I've been after that ticket for a couple of years. And the story behind it was similar to what you just said. I was lying in bed. I woke up extremely early, and I never check my mobile phone at that when I do that, because I think if I check it, the screen, then I'm awake. I'll not get back to sleep. But something in me was saying check eBay, and I was thinking, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. And eventually I succumbed to it, and I looked, and I was like, that was it. It was just sitting there. So someone in the UK must have probably put that on at, say, I don't know, midnight or something, and it's been sitting there for a few hours, because they couldn't have put it on that early, I wouldn't have thought. And I just pulled the trigger straight away. And I was thinking, that is the one and only time I've ever done that. And I've literally been wanting that ticket for a couple of years. It's crazy.
Yeah, Darren Ravel has said, there's been times where he's gotten up at 3:00 in the morning because he had to go to the bathroom. And, while he's going to the bathroom, he looks at eBay and he's like, oh my God, this ticket that I've been looking for 5 years just popped up. And had I not gone to the bathroom at that time to be able to see the ticket, it would have been lost to somebody else for sure.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, so I'll tell you a story behind that ticket. Was my friends were going to that show. I had two friends going to that show, and me and another lad were going to the London show, which was the next night, just because we wanted to go to London. And that show was in Manchester. The two lads that were going to that show, because Hulk Hogan was advertised to wrestle on all those dates, so we thought we'll just see him the next night. That's fine. Well, one of the lads forgot. So those tickets, even there, they weren't all physical tickets for that show, even though it was 2012. Because I remember what happened was, I think they got an email printout where you could print out on an actual printer your tickets on an A4 piece of paper and use that on entries. But they had forgotten the printout, so they had to go back home to get it. And then as they were driving to Manchester, which was like a 3-4 hour drive, there was an accident on the motorway, and they never got to make the show. They were in standstill traffic that whole time. And we still talk about it now, that they missed Hulk Hogan's final match. And then the joke was on us as well, because the next night he didn't wrestle. So none of us got to see him. None of us got to see him. But he did come out and pose, but he was only out for a couple of minutes, and it wasn't the same. It wasn't what was advertised. But I guess we just thought, oh, we'll see him next time. It was just, that was it. That was it for Hulk. Didn't do another
Ben,
one.
Is this one of the Eminem tickets that you were talking about that you found on Heritage?
No, so this one was, I would never do this now because I just don't have the time. But this was just messaging Eminem collectors on Instagram, and I went through loads of big Eminem collectors, just messaging them one after another. And then 6 months later, this guy reached out, and I told the story on Tickets with Tay. He got this he went to Detroit and collected it from an old producer or something from Eminem. I think the Bass Brothers.
Yeah.
And he bought it raw off this guy, and he went and got it slabbed himself. He kept one for him, and so he reached back out to me 6 months later. I'd forgotten all about messaging about that, and it was one of those things where I was like, this opportunity will just never come around again. It just won't. So I just had to. So that's Eminem's earliest concert on record. That is the Infinite release party at the Shelter in 8 Mile. That is his earliest show by some distance, and there could only be 100 or so people in attendance there, and it'll be the only time he performed those songs. It was before Infinite was released, which was his first album, and he never performed those songs again. I don't believe on record. And then you had no idea how that album was going to do, and it did terribly. It didn't sell well at all.
It's kind of funny. It's very hard to find early concert tickets from groups like Eminem and really any of the modern artists. I know you've looked for Biggie Smalls and
Yeah.
the early Kanye tickets, Eazy-E tickets. I mean,
Mhm.
I have too, just because it's stuff that I grew up on, just like you did. And, just kind of like, unfortunately, it's just very, very hard to find that stuff. So for you to be able to find such an early Eminem ticket, I mean, that's just terrific.
Again, it's a connection with people that you grew up with, isn't it? But I have closed the door on him now because I just don't think I'll get an earlier one, and there's no other tickets that I'd really like of his. And then once I've moved on from those guys now, because I think once you've got a ticket of theirs, unless it's some really big landmark moment, so I know Fab has got the last public appearance of Biggie and stuff like that. So unless it was some big landmark moment like that, I'm not even searching for. Even if one came up now, I probably wouldn't pay much money for them. Obviously, besides the ones I've got, I'm talking about other ones.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny. We all go through it, I believe, and you and I talked a little bit about it. It's a little bit of a maturity to our ticket collecting, and a little bit of our focus to our ticket collecting. And it kind of works both ways, doesn't it, Ben? Because, we probably were eager and aggressive, and we wanted to get all that we could when we first started.
Yeah.
Everyone goes through that. I used to have people laugh at me. They're like, you just buy everything. And I'm like, yeah, because I love this stuff and it's super cool. And I just got into it. And, I bought some tickets back in the day that, because I was just so in love with it, those tickets, I don't know if I could even afford them today because they have increased so much. So my passion, and I think your passion early on, and most ticket collectors' passion, it's super important to be able to acquire that stuff early. But then I think we all go through that maturity, and it's hard. It's hard to become a focused ticket collector. But I think, I'm trying, and I'm not doing such a good job of it because I'm still buying way too much. But I'm trying every day. But it sounds like you're going through it too, Ben. You're not just out there buying every possible thing that excites you. You're trying to be a little more focused.
Yeah, and I don't just buy tickets. I buy anything that looks interesting, memorabilia-wise. But you're right. I think I've only probably bought a handful of tickets this year, and we're in October now. It's got to be something I would consider, again, exciting, really exciting. And it's not so much. I'm just trying to be a little bit more responsible. I guess there was something very, very fun about receiving 5 and 6 packages a day in the post. That was really fun. And watching where, I'm buying stuff from America, so I'm watching it go to Illinois and all this on the eBay tracker. That was fun as well. And I know people think I'm strange, but actually tracking it was quite fun. And then, but then it just comes a point where I just couldn't. I'm not going to sustain that. It was like I was like a headless chicken, getting all sorts of things. And it does come with maturity. Some of those things I'm so pleased I got, because again, I've never seen again. But some of those things, obviously, I think as well, your tastes change, don't they, over time?
Of course. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. There are certain things that I know that I was originally collecting when I first started that I'm not so passionate about. And then in the years that I've been doing this, I've grown into some other things that have really become my passion. So I think we all go through it a little bit. One of the other things you've talked about, Ben, and you and I chatted a little bit about it before, is, we would buy tickets with the understanding that, we had never seen one before. Something pops up and you buy it and you're like, oh, I've never seen it before. I've got to buy it because I might not see it again. But that's one of the things that's kind of unique about tickets is sometimes you buy one and the seller's got more than one and he puts another one up and another one up. And you're like, did I really buy a rare ticket, or maybe it's not so rare? So tell me a little bit about, your issues with that as well.
I'm going to tell you something quite mischievous that I've done here, because I'm not a punter by any means of like going on social media. You must buy this ticket. This is the next big thing. All this sort of stuff. I'll be, a lot of my grails actually I've just not even posted on social media. It's just so, I don't know why, I just haven't. But anyway, there was. I'm going to talk about this ticket actually because Cristiano Ronaldo has a Mega Cracks rookie card, right? And that is up there, just below the Lionel Messi Mega Cracks card. But, that is such a big card, and he's a GOAT, Cristiano Ronaldo, he is. He's one of the greatest. But there was some research done into this, and it wasn't started by me, but I did pick up the ball on it. And his rookie card picture is from a game against, I think I sent you it, but it's Paris Saint-Germain. And
I don't have that one, but that's okay. Maybe I didn't see it.
So it's a Sporting Lisbon ticket, obviously, when he started off, and it was a pre-season game against Paris Saint-Germain. There it is there. Yep. And there was a lot of, you look at the Mega Cracks card, and you can look into that card, you can see there's confetti on the floor. Well, it was a pre-season celebration game. When you look at the pre-season games, there was only one open to the public. So obviously that was, and it was billed as a presentation game. Well, the confetti matches with that, his shirt matches with the clips on YouTube. The ball is the same. The seat sponsors in the back are the same. The little things on his finger, everything matches up. And to me, that is an awesome part of ticket collecting and digging into something, because as correct as I'm wrong, but I don't think any GOAT rookie cards have been matched up to a ticket yet.
So the only one, so someone recently was able to match up one of Tom Brady's very early rookie football cards to a ticket.
Right.
So you doing it, or people doing it with Ronaldo, that's fabulous too. Plus all the card collectors that are moving into tickets, that's certainly something that they gravitate to.
So I'm going to go back about a story because I got off track there. But anyway, so I then picked up a couple of those tickets, right? And I because I was like, before I start posting about it, I'm going to make sure I get these tickets, right?
Of course.
So I've got 2 or 3 of these. But anyway, so then I posted about it. Oh, look at this. Anyway, but I'm not big into doing videos or beating a drum about it. So I messaged another Ronaldo collector in Nacho Collection. Says, yeah. Do you realize this ticket is quite significant? You might want to get that and talk about it. I'm just letting you know. and I think he did. I think he already had one, but he went, and then he did a big social media post about it and everything. And I thought, that is me not trying to get every ticket, because what good is that if no one even knows about it, right? But yeah. I thought, I'm just gonna let you know about that so you can tell everyone. And it was fine. And there was nothing. It's win-win, right? It's win-win because he knows about it now and he's got a cool ticket on his hands. But I've also raised the profile of it without having to go through the hard work.
Poor Rick did the dirty work for you.
Yeah, it's harmless, though, isn't it? It's win-win.
It
right?
is. Win-win. He's a great collector too. I like Rick a lot. Very nice guy. So I wanna kind of talk a little bit about this, because it's pretty difficult, I think, to have an international ticket collector like yourself on, and not be able to kind of at least chat a little bit about this, because I think it's kind of important, and I think it's probably interesting for us to beat up a little bit. But we talk about the Mega Cracks card, and it's a soccer card. It's Messi's rookie card, and recently some in very high grades have sold for record numbers. I mean, record sales. There's one that went for $1.5 million. There's been some sales above $1 million, right above $1 million. Then I think there was some lesser grades that wound up being sold probably in the 800s is what I've been told. But it's kind of one of those things, Ben, where I think you got to tell the audience how important to the soccer community is the Messi professional debut ticket. And we're not talking about the Porto ticket. We're not talking about that friendly that is everywhere. That's a cool ticket.
It is a good
We're
ticket.
talking
Yeah,
about his professional Espanol debut ticket. That's very rare. How important is that to soccer collectors?
Well, it's the professional debut of the greatest soccer player to ever live. So, very important, like hugely significant. And it's a ticket we all want, right? We do. It is the grail of soccer tickets, right? I mean, there's a lot of contenders for number two. There's a lot of amazing tickets out there, soccer tickets, but that is probably the one, right? So it's very significant. If we're talking about, just go on to the topic of will it reach 1.5 million and all this sort of stuff, I think my take on this is these Messi cards that we're seeing now in these sales, a lot of it's for social media, and you can see a Mega Cracks Messi card at a glance and tell what it is. You see it in a picture and you go, that is the Messi Mega Cracks card, and everyone knows it. You hold up an Espanol ticket, only those who know will know it, unless it's slabbed. Look, I mean, it is beautiful, but if you take that slab off it, or you post it raw, a lot of people just won't know what that is. And I honestly, this is my own opinion, I think a lot of people are using social media as a flex for these Messi cards. Look how many I've got. Look at the amount, because people know how much they're worth now, so they're posting them basically saying, look how much money I've got here.
Yeah.
And people are even doing response videos. I've seen one. I saw El Rey Collection hold up his Ronaldo. He cracked a Ronaldo PSA 10 for Mega Cracks, and then people were doing response videos. Oh, look at all mine. And I do think a lot of it is the status of social media and seeing what I've got. But so will it ever get to that high? I don't think it will. But if we're going back to your original question, how important is it? Yeah, it is the most important, I would say.
I mean, I would say this, Ben. I mean, I'm a card collector. I'm a ticket collector first, but I understand and appreciate card collecting, and I give respect to card collectors. But without being, and not trying to be a negative Nelly, but you got a $1.5 million Messi Mega Cracks card, or I could get this incredible pro debut ticket that is super rare. The first one sold in Golden for $5,000. $5,000 versus $1.5 million. And it's like, it's not even, to me, it's not even a close call. And then you go ahead and you're like, well, are there more of these tickets? Have we seen more of them? And we haven't seen that many more, but we saw this one also in Golden. So this is the second sale, and this is the $7,800 sale. This is like a press ticket, or a different kind of Espanol ticket. Not the same as the first, maybe somewhat less desirable, but it's $7,800. And again, still, Ben, amazing. I wish I would have been smart enough to buy the one for $5,000 or that one. And now you go ahead and you say, well, has there been any more? And you're like, okay, you're still thinking $1.5 million, but then you're thinking, well, yeah, I get it. It's $1.5 million, but let me see. I have another one here. And you think to yourself, well, this is the most recent sale, and we've got $1.5 million cards. We've got the super rare ticket, and it goes for $15,000.
Yeah. So I remember when that came up, and loads of us, as people, we were even talking about, should we all chip in some money each and all the stake in it and stuff. But I don't think it was ever got to a serious discussion. I remember that when that came up, and I genuinely did consider it, bidding for it. Yep. I did consider it. the times were different then. I've got a child now. I would be more responsible, even if one came up. But I'd love to watch the auction. But anyway, so I considered that, and it got to the point where I tried to register on Golden, and it was asking too many questions, and I had to do too many security. I just thought, oh, I can't be. So I obviously didn't want it that much. But I thought, how is this going to play out? I'm going to have to get up at 2 o'clock again in the morning. I'm going to have to. My wife would say, "What are you doing now? I'm buying a ticket." Well, is it a good ticket? Yes, it's like professional debut. How much are you willing to spend on that? Well, I'll probably go for £15,000. Get back in bed, you idiot. No way, you're not doing. So that is how it would have played out. But fair play to whoever got it. And if one came up now, I wouldn't be in the running for it. I wouldn't, but I can be impartial and say that is the ticket, you know.
I mean, I remember when it came up, Fav told me, you know, go chase it. And I said, where do you think it's going to go? And he said to me, you know, probably around $10,000. And I said, yeah, you know, probably. And then it got above that. And stupid me, I just backed off. And I should have bought it because, in my opinion, that ticket is worth way more than $15,000 today. I'll probably never find one to add to my collection. And when you see all of the crazy card sales for these Messi cards, I just think that puts into perspective how very undervalued all of the Grail Messi tickets and Ronaldo tickets and Maradona tickets and Pele tickets really are.
Yeah, they are. But again, I've got no regrets on not bidding for it. It's just one of those things. I've got a great collection. I'm very happy with it. I don't need to spend ridiculous money on every ticket, even if it is going to be worth a lot more in maybe now or in time to come. I'm good with that. You know, I don't need that. If it came up, it would probably, if I were to get one now, it would probably be a private sale or even a trade with someone who might have a couple and you've got that relationship with. But if it went on Golden, for example, I'm not competing with people like that. And because it can get out of hand, an auction can get out of hand pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But as for an investment, it's an amazing investment, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it kind of goes back to where we started. Honestly, Ben, you know, if you could find someone who you had a relationship with who found one and you could trade them something or do some kind of deal, or maybe that person's very lucky and they find two and you know, they'd be willing to do something with, you know, someone that they knew. You never know.
I mean, people's circumstances change as well. You know, people could spend a lot of money on tickets. They could have kids they might want something else in their life and think, well, why am I holding on to this? Things come around. I mean, some of us are relatively youngish people who have these tickets. You know, I know a couple are young lads, and things could change. Right? And I'm sure everyone who's bought it as an investment is going to cash in at some point. Is going to move it on, I'd imagine. Otherwise, you know.
Yeah. But you see, I think, Ben, if someone had one of those tickets, they would be hard pressed not to auction it with Golden or Heritage.
But the thing with that is though, it's a gamble, isn't it, in a way, because you don't know how much it's going to go for. If you do a private sale, you're in control of how much that's going to go for.
That's true.
If you saw on eBay, fixed amount, you know, the gamble is with Golden or Heritage, who are the buyers? Are they going to be willing to pay? That is the reluctance, isn't it? But all it'll take is one big sale. But who's going to do it first? Who's going to cash in first? And sit back and enjoy it at least.
Yeah, I will too. I'd be interested to see if some pop up, you know, with the excitement about the World Cup, with the excitement about it maybe being Messi's and Ronaldo's last World Cup, and they're both going to play. Who knows? You know, if Argentina could do it again. I mean, who knows? But that ticket's really potentially got some real legs. You know, it's funny, Ben. I tell every guest this, and we say it all the time. You know, we just start talking, and you know, we're in 34 minutes, and it's like we just started, and it's easy breezy. I tell everyone, first of all, please like and subscribe to the channel. We love to have people on. I'm so thankful that people watch and comment, and we get great feedback, and I'm so thankful for all of that. Ben, I'm going to run the gauntlet with you. we're at that point. You know, it's 34 minutes in, and I've got some good questions for you. So I want to hear it. If you're on Stub Luv Live, you got to be on. You got to run the gauntlet. So let's do that. Stub or full?
Depends on the rarer one, I guess. That's the answer. There's a
really?
lot of fulls. There's a lot of fulls that come out of a book that promoters have left over, and they're all pristine and crisp and things like that. But the answer to me is usually going to be, look, what's the rarest one? I guess my instinct is a full. My instinct is a full.
Yeah.
I do gravitate more towards those, but it depends. It depends. I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll go with whatever's rarest.
Gotcha. PSA, Beckett, or no slab for your tickets?
All of my, I've never ever graded anything. Still now, I've never graded anything, so it doesn't bother me really, unless it was something like we're talking about Espanol that if you showed it to someone who didn't know, they'd be like, well, what is this? But then you could look at the slab and say, oh, that's what it is. So for that, but there's some things I quite like picking up and holding without the plastic on and just getting it out and looking and feeling it and things like that. Not that I do that often, but we talked about like the Beatles Cavern Club book, for example. If that's slabbed, you can't really look through that and see what's inside. I think it's quite interesting to pick up that little book and have a look through who owned it, their name, everything. It depends.
So let me ask you this: how hard is it? You know, let's step out of the gauntlet for 1 second. How hard is it in England to get tickets slabbed by PSA?
You've got to send. I don't know. Some of the lads I think say it's really easy. Like I've got as far as registering on PSA, and that was it really. But it's the risk, I guess, of sending it to America, hoping it gets there safely and comes back, and then you've got customs charges. Things like that. To me, I've seen people in the Discord and on buggers or whatever have had things go missing.
Yeah.
And to me personally, right, it's just not worth it. Sending it from England could potentially go missing. And then why have I done that? So I guess it's probably not that hard to do, but it's, do you have full confidence that it'll return to you safely?
Yeah. Do you think you'd be more inclined to send some of your tickets to the Frankfurt office that's opening in Germany, PSA, I think, opening one of those offices, or are you still going to just keep them raw?
Probably, I'm more likely to do that.
Yeah.
But the amount of times I've said, if you played a drinking game took a shot every time I said I was going to get something slabbed and didn't do it, you'd be an absolute wreck now, Howard. So I say this, but who knows? I might even wait till the day there's a UK one and actually hand deliver it myself.
Yeah,
you know?
And I'm sure there will be a UK one soon. Let's get back. Debuts or moments, Ben?
Debuts and moments. More probably debut. More probably debut for me. Although, I guess I'm gearing. I have picked up a lot of moments as well.
Yeah.
Just because some of them are just easier to get than a debut.
Yeah.
You know, it just again it depends. We'll look at the World Cup VIP ticket, the 2022, the Messi one.
Let me pull that up.
Yeah. I mean, look at that for a start, right? That is beautiful. And I know we're talking about Espanol and everything. Espanol. But that is just a work of art, isn't it? That's like a museum piece. And that is the crowning moment of the greatest football player to ever live, the greatest soccer player. That is his crowning moment.
Yep.
You can't. So when you talk about number two, I mean, I think that is just to me personally, I think that is an exceptional piece. You can put that in a presentation cabinet and people would think that's just incredible. So we talk about moments as big as that. That had a lot. It was the greatest World Cup final certainly in my lifetime, arguably the greatest World Cup final ever. And it was Messi versus Mbappe in the final, two of the biggest players. What a spectacle it was, you know. And that's the VIP one. It comes in the presentation box. I think there was only 400 in the VIP. Of course, Taylor has the VVIP, which is even more elite.
Taylor,
I can't have everything.
Taylor's a special cat.
Yeah,
So,
he is. Yeah.
This one's phenomenal, and it kind of goes to show you, as much as you'd want the Messi pro debut, that moment is really a standout moment in Messi's career and in the history of the World Cup and the history of soccer. So, do you like signed tickets or unsigned tickets?
Unsigned tickets.
Yeah, everything's unsigned.
I'm just not bothered about autos. I don't know what it is. I'm just not that fussed about them. Like, for example, we'll talk about Hulk Hogan. How many Hulk Hogan tickets are signed? I mean, obviously he's not doing any more now, but you see Hulk. If you search Hulk Hogan ticket on eBay, 99% are probably signed. But anyway, I've just never been. I've never been fussed about having a signature over the tickets. Sometimes tickets are quite busy anyway. They've got writing on them. They've got, as in the date, the teams, things like that. Do you want to cover all that up with another signature? I like to keep them quite clean. Of course, things like some older tickets, soccer tickets, will have the score on and they'll have things like that. And I don't mind that, because I think someone's gone to the game and they've wrote the score on the ticket, and I quite like that. I do.
Yeah. Kind of shows a little bit of authenticity that it was at the game and someone was there. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So what do you think are the best soccer tickets to collect? Pele, Maradona, Messi, Ronaldo? Is it Messi?
It would probably have to be Messi, just because he's the greatest, isn't he? And there's so many moments that he has. So you could, if you wanted to start a Messi collection, God, you could. There's so many you can tick off. What's his name? God, I think it's Rivalry Sportswear. He's got an Excel spreadsheet of all the Messi moments. Or M Diddy, I think it is. But all these players do, right? Maradona tickets. He started his career in Argentina. So if you want to get any of his tickets from his early days, especially his professional, where you're just not going to get. Well, you're not going to find that. And same with Pele.
Yeah.
I've got some Pele tickets that have no team name on, no anything, but they've been looked into by, I'd say, ex-historians on some Facebook groups, and they're positive. And there's some clues on the tickets as well. If you do enough research, you can match up with them. But I guess because all of Messi's games and all of Ronaldo's games are documented, it's easier to do that.
Sure. Would you rather have a Messi pro debut or a Lewis Smiley debut?
It would probably have to be Lewis Smiley. Oh dear, yeah. I'm not gonna. There is still time for Lewis to come good. I must admit. Will he be as good as Messi? Time will tell.
Okay, you're still riding that. You're still riding that train.
Hey, no, of course. That's one of those things where we all do it, don't we? Speculate on the next big thing, who the player's going to be. And that's quite fun as well, isn't it? Because then you follow their career quite closely and you want them to do well. It's part. But will I take a punt on the next up and comer and buy loads of tickets? No, probably won't do that again.
Probably not. Yeah. So I think I would be crazy if I didn't ask you. You're on my show, and I've seen this name a bunch of times on Instagram. What
Jackson
in the
Holiday.
world is only fools and horsemen? What is that?
Oh well, oh God. Well, just take you back to how this account started. This account was started by me and a couple of friends. We started collecting at the same time, and we'd go to we went up to Scotland together to a card convention and things like that. And I would post some stuff, and they would post some stuff and things like that. And we came up with gradually they just lost interest really, and so I just started doing it. But there's a UK TV show called Only Fools and Horses. And that is a big comedy in the UK. It's one of the biggest comedies that we've had. But at the time, we were focused on wrestling when we first started. Let's get loads of wrestling things, and not tickets. It was cards then, all sorts. And the Four Horsemen were a massive Ric Flair's group, weren't they, growing up? So it's a combination of those. Like Only Fools, I suppose, is having a joke on us, Only Fools. And Horseman was because we thought it was going to be a wrestling account. And now it's just got the point where it's just a name, isn't it? It doesn't even matter what it is. I could change it, but I'm not bothered enough.
Nah, we all know you like that. Nah, we all know it. You can't change it, Ben. You can't change it.
Nah.
Well, Ben, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. I enjoy what you post. I enjoyed watching the old episodes that you had with Taylor. You're a good guy. I certainly wish you all the very best. I hope that we can stay in touch. I think you're very good for ticket collecting. I do see occasionally you post in the Discord. So, I see that on Instagram and on the Discord, and I think everyone should pay attention to you because you're a very good dude. And I thank you for coming on our show.
Thank you. Can I just close with one ticket that I've never shown to anyone?
Yes, of course.
I'm dying to show this because this was one ticket I got. This is an example of I'm excited by something, so I'm going to buy it. And
yes,
you've heard of Manchester United. Yeah,
of course.
Massive team. Well, before they were Manchester United, they were Newton Heath. This was in the late 1800s. That's how it started off. And there were a bunch of railway workers, and they were next to a railway line at Newton Heath or something like that. I think that was the line. And they started the football team that became Manchester United in the early 1900s. Now, it's popped up, and it's not a ticket per se. It's not a ticket, but it's an invitation for a player to play in a match for Newton Heath. Wow. And this was their first season in the footballing league, and this was 1892. So what happened was, before mobile phones and all this sort of stuff, I did not realize this, but players would be called to play in matches by a postcard by the club. So they would send a postcard to a player. I sent you a scan of it, but that was it. So this is for 1892. This is to play for West Bromwich Albion. This is a player called Archie Bastock. He played for Wales. It's got details of where to go, what train to catch from where, and you're going to be playing in Manchester. That says Manchester, Newton Heath, 1892. Super and this cool. This is a match that is on record, and it finished 4-2 to West Bromwich Albion. Newton Heath had a torrid time in their first season in the Football League. So this is a match from 1892 on record with you can look into it. And I believe this is probably the earliest Newton Heath Manchester United, not ticket, but it's an invitation to play in the game. So is that a ticket? I mean, it's an offset of a ticket. Yeah. And I don't think tickets were probably even issued for individual games in those days. I think you probably went up to the turnstile, paid, and then were let in. Yeah. So this is the next thing that you would. So this is an example of something I didn't even knew existed, and I wasn't looking for it, but it popped up, and I looked at it, and I thought, oh, that's just a postcard for someone who lives in Newton Heath, because it's an area, isn't it, in Manchester? And then I looked into it properly, and I was like, whoa, this is an invitation for a player to play, and it's at the Newton Heath's ground as well. It's at their ground, so that makes it even more special. And I could not buy that fast enough. Yeah. It was. That comes down to timing, because I think I checked eBay, nothing there, and I might have checked it a couple of minutes later. There it is. So I had to quickly, and that is timing, isn't it? That
it really is.
And I messaged the lady. I messaged the seller, and it was a lady who said, "This was my husband's." Because I asked her, look, how did you even get this? How did you even get this card, this ticket? And she said it was my husband's collection, and it was sitting in a drawer, and it has been for a number of years. And I'm just going through things now. I don't know what's happened to her husband, or if she's selling them on his or whatever. But I mean,
it's amazing.
That is something again, Howard. You'll probably never see one of those again.
No,
for Newton Heath as well, Manchester United. So we're talking about sort of collections and pro debuts and moments and things, but this is something that so early on in one of the biggest football clubs in the world, it's probably their earliest piece of memorabilia, one of them.
Yeah, it's history. It's history. It was destined for your collection, Ben. It was destiny.
It was. It's in safe hands.
Yeah, it really is.
Unslammed.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Again, thank you so much. Appreciate you coming on. Episode 73 of Stub Luv Live with Ben Oliver. Thank you very much. Everyone, like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.